The Traveller's League Book 1 The Timepiece, written by Nick Goss. Escape. Breakfast the next morning was oatmeal filled with raisins and drizzled with maple syrup. Hoop shovelled in a mouthful as he fired question after question at Myra and the three men. I was thinking about this all night, and I don't understand if you guys have a tunnel and you've helped travellers escape in the past, why you don't just leave? You could get out any time you wanted. Why'd you stick around? Myra was surprised at the question. Hoops was smarter than many of the travellers that had come through the prison before him. Before she answered him, she looked at Doc, Jonathan and Chase. Each one nodded an approval in a silent vote. We're not prisoners at all, Hoops. We're spies. Hoop's eyes widened and a dribble of delicious oatmeal fell from the side of his mouth onto the table. What? No way! Shh! Doc warned. Let's keep it down, shall we? Whispers only, please, Hoops. Sorry, Hoops hushed. Who are you spying on? No, wait, dumb question. Who are you spying for? Myra leaned in close after looking around to ensure that they wouldn't be overheard. We serve Queen Diambi. She's been leading the resistance against the marsh trolls for several years. We report on their military movements and numbers. Marsh trolls? Hoops asked. The Frumps, genius, Chase smirked. Myra continued. We've been at war for a long time, and they've grown stronger and more numerous over the past couple of years. But the resistance is growing as well, and eventually will put Diambi back on her throne. Long live the Queen, Jonathan whispered. Long live the Queen, echoed Doc, Myra and Chase. After a short pause, so as not to be disrespectful, Hoops asked, Myra, how often do you report to your Queen? Don't the guardsmen notice when you're gone? Myra smiled. We don't leave. We stay put and keep our eyes and ears open. We listen to the warden and the judge and the guardsmen, and they gossip and complain and moan about everything their leaders tell them to do. And when a traveller comes through the prison, we ask him to deliver the updates to the Queen once we've helped them escape. Like an agreement, Hoops interrupted. You help me escape, and in exchange I deliver your report to your Queen before continuing my travels. Exactly. You've got a deal, Myra. Hoops took the last spoonful of oatmeal. So what's the plan? Chase and Jonathan will create a distraction here in the dining hall. When the warden leaves his office, you, Doc and I will slip out of our cells and grab your belongings. Then we'll all meet back at the tunnel. I'll give you the message to deliver to the Queen and the directions to find her, just before you go into the sewer. The sewer! Hoops didn't like the sound of wading through frumpy poop at all. You want to continue your travels, don't you? Yeah, of course, it's poop. Hoops imagined what the smell would be like and lost his appetite. Yuck. Myra continued. Chase and Jonathan, you'll have to make sure you create enough noise to attract all the guardsmen and get the warden to come out of her room. Then you can slip out through the rat shaft. Hoops asked what the rat shaft was, and Jonathan pointed to the ceiling. Just behind one of the beams in the corner was a hole the size of a beach ball, tucked away in the shadows. It's been there for years and they've never even noticed, Jonathan smirked. And if they catch us before we climb into the rat hole, they'll just put us in the hole for a week. No big deal. Chase jumped in. But if they catch you leaving the prison, Hoops, you'll be executed. It'll be tonight at lights out, Myra ordered. Long live the Queen. Long live the Queen, they replied. Hoops echoed them. Hoops sat on his bed going over the plan. His stomach felt like it was turning flips. He was ready to just get this escape over with. He bounced his legs up and down and tossed and turned in his bed. The waiting was torture. Hours passed and Hoops occupied himself by making a list of all the creatures he'd discovered and all the friends he'd made. He'd still felt like a fool for not travelling with a journal. He was determined to write it all down when he got home. Hoops looked out into the hall through the cell bars. Jonathan and Chase tiptoed up to his cell. "We'll meet you and Myra and Doc at the tunnel." Chase pulled a key-shaped bone out of his pocket and picked the lock to Hoops's cell. "It's unlocked, but keep it closed and don't come out of your cell until after the warden passes by." "Good luck, Chase," Myra whispered over from the cell. "Stay close to Jonathan and be careful." Jonathan and Chase snuck down the hallway, moving from shadow to shadow. The plan was to lock themselves in the dining hall and make noise. Chase would use his key to lock the door, then join Jonathan in making the noise. Eventually, the warden would have to bring the keys to unlock the dining hall. That would give them plenty of time to escape through the rat shaft. When they got there, Jonathan went straight into the kitchen area and knocked things over. He threw big pots against the stone walls, shattering them to bits. He grabbed metal ladles and began banging on the iron cauldrons. He even began shouting, "Where's my food, you big-toed munchers?" and "Marsh trolls smell like rotten cabbage left in a used diaper." He yelled as loud as he could and banged the pots and pans as hard as he could. He needed to make more noise. "Chase, get over here and give me a hand, would you? Chase!" He turned towards the door and saw that it was still wide open, and Chase was gone. "Chase!" he shouted. But Chase didn't answer. Instead, 2 guardsmen hurried into the room. Jonathan ran to the other end of the room to get to the rat shaft, but a guardsman got there first. He was trapped. Chase had betrayed him and disappeared. One guardsman grabbed Jonathan with his fat, meaty hand, but Jonathan was stronger than most men. With a swing of his arm, he smashed his fist into the blobby, onion-sized nose, and the guardsman was knocked out cold. 3 more frumps charged into the room. Jonathan ran to the very back and jumped up on the end of one of the long tables. The guardsmen were forced to climb up on the table one at a time, making a line down the table, and one by one they were knocked out by Jonathan's fists. He was a warrior and had fought through thousands of frumps on the battlefield. The room filled with frumps, when finally one of them shouted, "Get the warden!" Hoops saw guardsmen rush by his cell. Dozens of frumps headed to the dining hall. All of a sudden, a huge marsh troll dressed in black from head to toe walked by. Gold circle earrings hung in each ear, and a silver ponytail hung to its knees. It was 2 feet taller than all the others and had a face covered in scars. As the warden marched past, Hoops saw a grey steeled sword and a jagged curved blade in its hand. Myra and Doc slipped out of their cells and checked the corner. "All clear. Hoops, let's go." Hoops pushed the bars open and followed them down the dark, empty hallway and into the warden's office. There was nothing but a small wooden cot against the wall, a nasty-smelling toilet in the corner, and a huge desk. Behind the desk was a pile of junk on the floor. The warden had been collecting all the confiscated items from new prisoners for a long time. On the top of the pile was an animal skin tunic, pants, leather boots, and a cloak. Hoops slipped them on and pulled his belt from the junk heap as well. The dagger still hung from it, and the pouch remained unopened. The timepiece was still tucked neatly inside. Phew. Back in the dining hall, a pile of guardsmen covered the floor around the table. Jonathan was still battling one frump at a time, landing his fists with precision, but he was getting tired. A loud roar broke into the room. "Stop! He's mine!" The warden strode to the table and jumped up quite quickly. The warden and Jonathan stood facing each other in silence for several long seconds. Jonathan eyed the blade in the warden's hands and knew that this was the end of it. "Long live the Queen!" Jonathan screamed as he ran with all his strength, fists raised straight at the warden. The warden charged at Jonathan, raised the wicked sword above her head. In one swift stroke of the blade, it was over. Hoops, Myra and Doc ran through the tower, around several corners and down a few flights of stairs. They pushed open a wooden door and burst into an old storage room filled with wooden crates and barrels. On the far end of the room, behind a giant stack of crates, they found Chase. He stood in front of the tunnel entrance. His back was turned to them, and he had a shovel in his hands. "What happened?" demanded Myra. "Where's Jonathan?" She looked at the tunnel entrance and saw that it had been collapsed shut by the shovel in Chase's hands. "Chase, what have you done?" Chase slowly turned to face them. His eyes were black, inky orbs as Braxo spoke through them. "There you are! Give it to me, Worthington! It's over!" He stepped towards Hoops. "Your friend is lost! You cannot escape! It's over! Now give it to me!" Chase lurched at Hoops, but Doc stepped in between them. "Now hold on a minute, Chase. What in the world?" Wham! With one violent punch, Chase sent the old man to the ground. His lip was cracked and bleeding. Myra tried to grab Chase's arm and stop him, but he easily tossed her small frame aside. Hoops scrambled for the timepiece as he ran backwards towards the door. Chase was right behind him. "You won't get away from me!" Braxo's icy voice hissed. "I'll always find you. It's mine. Give me the timepiece!" Without looking, Hoops wound the pocket watch and rubbed. His hands and arms were stiff from fear, but he managed to summon the magic. Chase managed to grab the hem of Hoops' cloak, then his arm, as the glowing dust swirled around them both. Hoops clutched the timepiece with all his strength as Chase wrestled to grab his wrist. Whoosh!